If you Google Dutch taxes, especially if you're not from Europe, and even if you are, you might have a heart attack, because saying figures close to 50% might make you wonder, how do people even survive here? And where are the riots? They look all so peaceful. Today we'll delve into the Dutch taxes and explore how people manage to thrive despite such a steep tax rate. Dutch tax system is really complicated, so let's start from the basic things. When it comes to your active income, and that's what you make from work, it's a two-rate system, which basically means there's a threshold. If you make below this threshold, which is 75,000 euro, your income is taxed at 37%. This part of your salary that is over the threshold is taxed at almost 50%. I guess one of the most important things here is that this rate is only applied to your active income, which means that if you bought Apple shares 20 years ago and sold them and became a billionaire, you would not need to pay 50% from that. Investment income is taxed differently. And another important thing that you need to know about the Dutch tax system is that you're almost always entitled to some kind of benefits. And here's how it works. After the year ends, you file a tax declaration with your partner. And for the Dutch authorities, you and your partner are considered the same entity. I'm mentioning this because in this video, I will often say you might be entitled, you might receive a certain benefit, because it's not only about you and your income, but it's also about your partner's active income. Now let's discuss a few example salaries. 75,000 euro. If you're making over 75,000 euro in the Netherlands, you're pretty well off. It's a very good salary. So if your income is higher than that, you've made a pretty good career. And not that many people in the Netherlands get a salary that is higher. In fact, in 2024, the average salary in the Netherlands is 44,000 euro, or 3,666 monthly before tax. We'll get to that calculation later. If you're making 75,000 gross, your net salary, the amount transferred to a bank card every month, will be between 4,000 and 4,200. And that actually depends on whether your holiday pay, which is called holiday allowance here in the Netherlands, is included in this amount or excluded and comes on top of this amount. It might be both ways with Dutch employers. And on top of that, you might also have other benefits from your employer, which generally come as non-monetary benefits, such as travel allowance or extended dental care. So is that income of 4,000 euro your real income? Not quite. In fact, you might be entitled to certain benefits. For instance, a mortgage tax return. And here's how it works. Let's say you bought an apartment for 300,000 euro here in the Netherlands. A very small starter apartment. But still, in the Netherlands, you can do that without any down payment. And let's say you bought it with a 4% mortgage rate. Now you're paying around 12,000 euro in percent annually. In this case, you're entitled to a deduction from this amount, a deduction of 37%. So let's calculate. 37% from 12,000 will be 4,448 euro. That's a tax return you'll be getting after you submit your tax declaration. So it turns out your actual mortgage rate is 2.5%, and your actual net income is not 4,000, but 4,400 euro. That's significant. Now let's say you're getting an average salary of 44,000 euro. Based on the tax bracket, one would say that your net income will be 27,720 or 2,310 euro monthly. Yet it's not that simple. Your income will be higher due to general tax credit and labor tax credit. So your actual net income will be 2,788. And that's not a tax return, so you don't have to wait for it. That's the salary you're getting monthly. And your actual tax bracket is around 24%. It's not 50, and it's not even 37. This number seems reasonable. Moreover, chances are with this type of salary, you are entitled to a lot of other deductions. If you're the only person working in your family and you don't have any significant assets like 100,000 euro, then most probably you will also be entitled to zorgtoeslag. They will basically more or less return the healthcare premium that you're paying each month, and which is obligatory in the Netherlands. And it will also be like 3,000 euro on top of your net income. Now, the last example is a minimal salary in the Netherlands. In 2024, the minimal salary in the Netherlands is 2,134 euros. If the general taxation rules would have been implemented, you would have got a 37% tax, and your net salary would have been 1,344 euro. And I know in your country that might be huge. In the Netherlands, you can barely rent anything with this amount, let alone paying other living costs. Yet if we enter this income in the tax calculator, it will magically leave us with a net income of 24,627 and a tax bracket of 4%. Your net salary will be 2,052 euro monthly. If you want to pay less taxes, just be poor. Now, I understand what the system is trying to do, and generally I view it as a good thing, because the government has to take care of the underprivileged people and make sure that everyone, no matter how much they earn, they have access to all the basic things. That's out of question. But honestly, for me, it's been very difficult to adapt to this system, because I've spent my conscious adult life in a country with a tax bracket of 7% for entrepreneurs and 13% for everyone else, regardless of how much you make. And yes, the inequality was so huge, it could have been 100 times between the minimal salary and the top salaries that, C-level people are getting. The Dutch tax system prioritizes equality, but the downside of it is that it makes almost no sense to earn over 75,000 euro, or to earn any high salary for that matter. It's completely demotivating for performers, people who want to improve their financial situation and are actively seeking ways to build their career. To make 5,000 euro net, which is pretty much the minimal amount to make a pretty good living and to live comfortably, your gross income has to be over 100,000 euro. And to earn that amount, you have to be either a C-level or an IT guy. And not all IT guys make that. To earn 10,000 euro net amount, which is close to impossible here, I guess, you have to make 250,000 euro. And my understanding that this is a salary that a C-level executive at a bank would earn. But I guess in a pursuit of an ideal country, you'll end up compromising here or there, and you have to be very clear with your priorities. As you can see, the real tax bracket in the Netherlands for most people is not even 37%. I hope this was useful, and if it was, like the video and subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to hit me up in the comments. Thanks for watching, and see you next week.